Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, and the great Italian lady Sonia Gandhi. Okay? Now I come to the next point. These people have come in power in 2019, May. Typically, within a very short period, Jagan's uncle yani Chachi ki husband, Chachaji, this person has been deployed as chairman TTD.
Right.
The first thing he has done is removed the GO. Worst, they not have to give an undertaking. Now, who the hell he is? How can he just, as it is, he doesn't belong to our faith.
Right.
Yani ki Hindu. He still has been given a post. In fact, he is supposed to sign it and then enter into his position, which he did not do. What is the interest? See, basically, why do you make chairman of any under endowment and Hindu institution, such as Sanatan institution? That they work towards the development of the temple. What is the conspiracy? I'm questioning that he reversed the undertaking. That's the first point I want to question.
Right.
Now, second point. Mr. Jagan says, Chandrababu Naidu ji has got the report of the ghee that has been returned 18 trucks. Fair enough. Then where is the report of those 18 trucks ghee that has been sent back? They reached Tirumala and they've been sent back.
Right.
Is there a testing center in Tirumala? If there is a testing center in Tirumala, how quickly have you have come up to a decision that it is adulterated and you have sent back? Because now that it is a proof that they have been sent back, show us that test report. First point. After that, the trucks which have come with a new ghee, did you again test back? Because you're already burnt with the news that it is adulterated ghee. Then there is a new test report to tell that
okay,
you've got
fair
a good
enough,
ghee.
Madhviji. I wanted to ask you, with these revelations of the shocking use of inferior and substandard ingredients into making something that is so sacred and respected, and the alleged use of adulterated ghee in the preparation of that sacred laddu is not just a disrespect to Hindu sentiments, Madhviji. I think personally to me it's a disrespect to someone's faith, it's a breach of trust. But while the BJP is going all guns blazing and targeting the former chief minister, what about the role of the TTD? I mean, shouldn't they be held accountable as well? Why no questions are being asked from the board? Doesn't the buck stop at them? Aren't they responsible of ensuring that the most pure, authentic prasad is served to devotees?
Okay, I will ask you one simple thing. The chief minister is the head of the state. Unfortunately, we Hindus do not have a different autonomous board. We all fall under endowments. And under TTD, the chairman is a Christian. EO is a Christian. All prime members are Christian. To keep up the Hindu sentiment. And apart from that, if you know, please, you are supposed to now let everybody know about this. TTD, very prime people have done an investigation and figured out there were 44 non-Hindu believers who belong to another religion.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. India's borders with Bangladesh are extremely porous, and the fear is that immigrants are entering illegally, and that has grown to a large extent, particularly after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina on the 5th of August. Prime Minister Modi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah have all, in the very recent past, raised this issue of rampant infiltration causing demographic changes, not just in Bengal, but also in the neighbouring state of Jharkhand. In fact, Home Minister Amit Shah made that a pitch on the campaign trail just a few days ago, claiming that infiltrators will become the majority if the JMM and Congress have their way in the state. While Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren has denied the charges, he has in fact pointed a finger at what is happening in West Bengal and the lax oversight, if you will, by the Mamata Banerjee government there. He says illegal infiltration and demographic shifts in Bengal needs to be under the scanner, not in his state. The big question remains, the numbers lay out a pretty dire picture of the damaging impact if there's going to be unchecked and rampant illegal immigration, namely against the poorest of the poor. Now, while politics seems to be derailing what is required at this time? What is a national solution to try and deal with the problem of rampant infiltration? CNN News 18 has gone to the ground and found out what is the truth to this problem. We've done a special investigation at the border districts in at least 3 places in the border districts between India and Bangladesh, where the BSF, of course, has its hands full in tackling this menace, because the number of people and the tactics that they employ to come there, it's almost, palms are greased at every stage. My colleague Anvit Srivastav went to these border villages, to these border areas, and checked out this reality for himself. Watch this eye-opening investigation, and particularly what has happened in the aftermath of Sheikh Hasina's ouster in the last couple of months or so.
আমরা অনেক গরিব মানুষ, তাই আসছি কাজের জন্য। আমাদের ওখানে কাজ নেই, তাই এখানে কাজ করতে আসছি।
अभी कैसा हालत है बांग्लादेश में जहाँ आपका गाँव है?
অনেক খারাপ, কোনো কাজ টাজ নেই, সব ভেঙে টেঙে ফেলছে, কাজ মাজ নাই, সবার বাড়ি ঘর ভাঙছে, বোম মারছে, গুলি করছে।
मैंने बोला मेरे पास तो वीज़ा नहीं है, मैं इंडिया जाना चाहता हूँ, मेरा बेटी और बीवी जा रहे, तो बोला मैं तुमको भेज दूंगा, 15,000 बांग्लादेशी टाका देना पड़ेगा। अभी जिंदा रहने के लिए किधर जाएगा, बांग्लादेश में रहेगा तो पकड़ लेगा वो सभी लोग, इसीलिए इंडिया चला रहे।
These testimonies, never heard before on television, epitomize the desperation of Bangladeshis to cross over into India. Since Sheikh Hasina's exit on August 5, the political turmoil in our neighbor country has raised fears of a mass exodus into India. Many rushed to the borders hoping for safety and a better livelihood.
यहाँ पे आप कैसे आई, किसको आपने संपर्क किया, कौन आपको यहाँ पर लेकर आया, कितना पैसा दिया, पूरा बताएंगे एक बार कैसे है?
দালালের মাধ্যমে আসছে, দালাল নিয়ে আসছে নদী পার করে, সাঁতরায় আসছে, ওখান থেকে সাঁতরায় বেলিতি করে নিয়ে আসছে, কলা গাছের ভেলাই করে ডুবে নিয়ে এসে এখান থেকে এসে এপারে যখন আসছি তখন বিএসএফে ধরছে, ধরে তারপরে এখানে নিয়ে আসছে। দালালের নামটাম কিছু জানি না।
और उसको कितना पैसा दिया जो लेकर आया?
10,000।
10,000। वो जो एजेंट था जो डाउट आपको लेकर आया, जिसने 10,000 रुपये मांगे आपसे, वो आपको कहाँ मिला था?
ইমো
पे। तो ईमो पे कैसे संपर्क हुआ, कैसे बातचीत हुई?
মোবাইলে কথা হয়েছে।
मोबाइल से। तो अभी तो जैसे अभी पकड़े गए, तो अब क्या लग रहा है, अब क्या होगा आगे?
জানি না, আমি জেলে দিয়ে দিবে, জানি না।
जब आप बांग्लादेश से इंडिया आ रहे थे, तो कहाँ से आपका सफ़र शुरू हुआ?
मैं इधर बेनापोल बॉर्डर में आया था, उधर से मेरा बीवी और बेटी दोनों पासपोर्ट दे के वीज़ा लेके इंडिया में आया। उधर वो जो दुकान था ना, उधर से मैंने बोला मेरे पास तो वीज़ा नहीं है, मैं इंडिया जाना चाहता हूँ, मेरा बेटी और बीवी जा रहे, तो बोला मैं तुमको भेज दूंगा, 15,000 बांग्लादेशी टाका देना पड़ेगा। वो जो दुकानदार है,
फिर वो आपको
लेके ऑटो में इधर लेके आया 1 बजे, फिर उधर बैठा रहा शाम तक, फिर मेरे को बोला इधर से वो पार करके जाना है नदी।
तो जिसको तैरना नहीं आता उसको कैसे लाया?
उसको थोड़ा पॉट है ना, ऑयल का पॉट, वो पॉट इधर बैठा के फिर लेके आया।
अच्छा,
हाँ।
तो कितने लोग आए थे?
14-15 होगा। मैंने
औरत था, कितना आदमी था?
औरत तो दो ही देखा, एक ही पकड़ गया और एक था।
बच्चे भी थे?
नहीं, बच्चे नहीं था।
तो अभी आप लोग जैसे 15 लोग एक साथ आए,
हाँ
तो अभी क्या बहुत सारा लोग आ रहे हैं बांग्लादेश से इधर?
हाँ, बहुत सारे लोग आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि बांग्लादेश में बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम चल रही है अभी।
अच्छा।
अभी उधर वो गवर्नमेंट उधर चेंज हो गया, इसीलिए उधर जो हिंदू लोग, हाँ, उधर जो हिंदू लोग हैं ना, वो लोगों को थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, और जो पॉलिटिशियन है, जो पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं, उन लोगों को भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, इसीलिए सभी लोग अभी जिंदा रहने के लिए किधर जाएगा, बांग्लादेश में रहेगा तो पकड़ लेगा वो सभी लोग, इसीलिए इंडिया चला रहे।
There seems to be a rise since August this year, but Bangladeshis illegally crossing into India is not a new phenomena. Ever wondered why many house helps, drivers, laborers often speak in a tongue that sounds more Bangladeshi than Bengali?
আমরা অনেক গরিব মানুষ তাই আসছি কাজের জন্য আমাদের ওখানে কাজ নেই তাই এখানে কাজ করতে আসছি
तो कहाँ जाने का था आपको? इंडिया आके क्या काम करना है और कहाँ जाना है?
झाड़ू पोछा करना है
They claim to be from villages in Bengal, but the areas they identify with are all close to stretches vulnerable to human trafficking and infiltration along the Indo-Bangladesh border.
All right, so that was an exclusive and exhaustive ground report, an investigation that our reporter Anvit Srivastav did over a period of 2 weeks between August and September in the bordering districts between India and Bangladesh. But that is one part of it. The other part, of course, is the politics that is happening first between the BJP and the TMC and now subsequently between the BJP and the JMM. Here in our studios, Pradeep Bhandari, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Tanuj Khatri is spokesperson of the JMM, Professor Monijit Mondol is a political analyst, he backs the TMC, and RK Bhargav is a former IG with the BSF. Pradeep Bhandari, so today the Jharkhand Chief Minister has hit back at the Home Minister and said, and I quote, they talk about changing demography and Bangladeshi infiltrators. I would like to tell them, take a look at the data, go and see what the data is in Bengal, then see the various districts of Jharkhand. You will find that there is no change in demography here. How would you respond to the Jharkhand Chief Minister? Because he's saying that you are presenting a wrong picture.
Well, this is the order of the Honorable High Court of Jharkhand, and this is the order dated on 8th August 2024 with reference to the submissions on 3rd July 2024, in which the Honorable High Court accepts that there is demographic change and it directs Deputy Commissioner of Districts of Godda, Jamtara, Pakur, Dumka, Sahibganj, Diogar to make separate affidavits and in order to ensure that infiltrators are not given Aadhaar card, voter card. So the Jharkhand High Court admits that in the Santhal Parganas there is a demographic change. So Mr. Soren is going against the Jharkhand High Court. Now let me tell you data of how there is a huge demographic change. As of 1951 in the Santhal Pargana, which constitutes these 5 districts which were taken into consideration by the Jharkhand High Court, the Muslim population was 9% and the tribal population was 45%. As of the latest data which we have and which is available in public domain, the tribal population has fallen less than 30%. This is what the Jharkhand High Court has admitted. The issue is that a tribal chief minister is not taking care of the tribal rights. In fact, the tribal chief minister here is taking care of vote bank. Let me 10 seconds quote you another instance. There is a very, very famous sanctuary, a bird sanctuary which is called as Udwa Bird Sanctuary in Rajmahal. Now, if you go on the ground, you will find that 3 castes, tribal castes, Chaimandal, Gangotra caste, all of them have completely gone away from those areas because of demographic change. So there is an admission by the Honorable High Court. This is not what we are claiming as a political opinion.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Khatri of the JMM. This is the data, Mr. Khatri. The Muslim population in Jharkhand and the Muslim population in Santhal Parganas, which are about 4 or 5 districts in the border between Jharkhand and West Bengal. Muslim population in Santhal Parganas, 1951 census, 9.44%. 2011 census, which is the last census that we have, is 22.73%. That's an increase of 13.29% in those years. Now, I also want to bring to your attention the demographic change in the overall state of Jharkhand. The tribal population in 1951 census, tribal population was 26%, Hindus were 87%, Muslims were 8.9%. In the 2011 census, the last census, tribal population is 26%. So it's a fall of 10% in 50 years. Hindus was 81%, fall of about 6%. Muslim population went up to 14.5%, a rise of about 7%. Now, please explain why this is not a problem in your state, a problem which even the High Court has flagged, but the Chief Minister says there is no such thing, no change of demography happening in the state.
Yes. Pratap Singh Rawat, he is the Under Secretary of Ministry of Home Affairs, Union Ministry of Home Affairs. इन्होंने एफिडेविट दिया है कोर्ट के सामने, जिसका मैं 1-2 लाइन पढ़ के सुना देता हूं क्योंकि उन्होंने भी सुनाया. 7वां पॉइंट है that since illegal migrants enter into the country without valid travel documents in clandestine and surreptitious manner, accurate data regarding number of such migrants living in the country, including the state of Jharkhand, is not available. ये बता रहे हैं होम मिनिस्ट्री के अंडर सेक्रेटरी प्रताप सिंह रावत जी हाई कोर्ट को. तो जब आपके पास डेटा ही नहीं है कि कितने लोग आए हैं, ठीक है, आप भी मानते हैं कि ये एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, हम लोग सब मानते हैं कि ये समस्या है, लेकिन बताओ तो सही कि समस्या का जिम्मेदार कौन है। ये एफिडेविट दिया है, मैं कोई इधर उधर की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, और प्रदीप भंडारी जी भी मुझे अच्छी तरीके से जानते हैं कि मैं कोई इधर उधर की बात करता भी नहीं। मैंने पढ़ के सुना दिया, 11/9/2024 का एफिडेविट है। ये तो एक पॉइंट है, कई एक पॉइंट उसमें आ रहे हैं। दिक्कत क्या है ना कि जब केंद्र सरकार को जब हाईकोर्ट में या सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जवाब देना होता है तो वहां उनके शब्द कुछ और होते हैं, और जब चुनाव में जाना होता है तो वहां जहरीले बोल होते हैं। इसका जवाब उनसे लीजिए।
नहीं, ये आई विल आस्क हिम द आंसर फॉर दैट, लेकिन ये तो बताइए, मैंने तो अभी जो डेटा दिया आपको, ये तो सेंसस डेटा है, और सेंसस डेटा साफ बताता है ना कि प्रॉब्लम तो है। हालांकि आपने जो जिक्र किया एंड द डेटा दैट यू गेव, द एफिडेविट का जो कोट आपने किया, दैट इज देयर, बट वो एफिडेविट के बाद ही हाईकोर्ट का ऑर्डर आया था ना। हाईकोर्ट का ऑर्डर तो पिछले महीने ही आया था।
नहीं, वो उसी पिछले ये 11 तारीख का ही, सितंबर का ही मैं बात बता रहा हूं। ठीक है, अगर आप मुस्लिम को बांग्लादेश से कैसे जोड़ दे रहे हैं?
नहीं, किसी ने ऐसा नहीं बोला। नहीं, किसी ने ऐसा नहीं बोला। मैंने सिर्फ ये बताया कि देखिए, ये था मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन इन 1951 और ये अब है, और ये ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन 1951 में ये था और अब ये है। मैंने ये नहीं बोला कि मतलब मुस्लिम मतलब बांग्लादेशी। नो, सॉरी, डोंट मिसकोट मी। हाँ, बोलिए।
बोलता हूं जैकब भाई, मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन की बात हुई कि 1951 में इतना था, 2011 में उससे कुछ बढ़ गया, 2014 और बढ़ गया, तो इन सब से बांग्लादेश घुसपैठ कैसे कनेक्ट हो रहा है सिर्फ मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन से? ये भी तो सवाल है ना। अच्छा, एक और उसमें एफिडेविट है कि मदरसों की संख्या बढ़ी है, तो मदरसा अगर खुल रहा है तो वो क्या बांग्लादेश के कानून से खुल रहा है भारत में, कि कुछ कानून है भारत के अंदर में?
ये प्रदीप भंडारी कह रहे हैं, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं। प्रदीप भंडारी बताइए, जस्ट बिकॉज द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ मुस्लिम्स इज इंक्रीजिंग, यू आर सेइंग दैट ऑल मुस्लिम्स आर बांग्लादेशी।
I'll tell you. Well, let me just quote. On 21st December 2019, fake Aadhaar card in Ranchi is being recovered and they're found to be Bangladeshi illegal immigrants. On 6 June 2024, in Baryutia area of Ranchi, again fake Aadhaar cards have been recovered, found to be from Bangladeshi immigrants. 4th August 2024, 4 illegal with fake Aadhaar card again recovered from Jharkhand. On 14 January 2024, Jharkhand police arrested a woman, again fake Aadhaar card seized. Now please look at the order. Nobody is saying that the entire Muslim population is an illegal immigrant. We are saying that there are illegal immigrants who are coming and settling and taking away tribal rights. They do not have the socio-cultural system even of the Muslims of this area. So it is to do with the tribals and Muslims and every community in Jharkhand. Please read the point number 7, which point number 7, it acknowledges that there is an illegal infiltration which is taking place from 5 districts. So Mr. Khatri, please read the order of the court is what I am telling you.
So let me ask Manojit Mandal, who backs the TMC. So just as I told Mr. Khatri, the population demographic change or the percentage change in Jharkhand, let me now tell our viewers and ask Mr. Mandal, Professor Mandal, this is the Bengal data. Rise in Muslim population, 1951 census, proportion of Muslim population was 19.46%, so less than 1 in 5. In the 2011 census, the Muslim population was 27%, almost 30%, which means a 10% jump in those 50 years. In the Bengal-Jharkhand border, in 1951 census, 9.44%, in 2011 census, 22.73%. Now, please explain the rate of increase of the population in Bengal is much higher than it is in Jharkhand. Now, why is Hemant Soren wrong when he says, you know, why are you holding my state accountable? Please check the population in Bengal. After all, Jharkhand does not have a border with Bangladesh. Bengal does.
I think my good friend from JMM rightly pointed out the insidious intent of BJP and dare I say, your question also about linking rise of Muslim population with infiltration.
Sir, again,
That's
please,
right
with due
at all.
respect, Professor, you know me.
Yes,
I don't insinuate such things.
I'm not saying that you are bluntly saying it.
No, I'm
Mr.
not
Jagan,
bluntly
but
or
there is
sharply saying it.
I will answer. Nonetheless, I will
Please,
answer.
please, please.
And you are selectively leaving out the other major state where maximum infiltration took place in the last 40, 50 years since 1970s, and there was, repercussions, uproars, violence, killings, and torching, everything. Even in 2019, during the CAA was passed, and that is the state of Assam. And you please go to the border districts of Assam. The maximum infiltration in terms of numbers still took place in Assam. So why not? First of all, let us recognize, as my good friend from JMM also recognized, that this is a problem. But this problem has been there since 1970s for the last 50 years. And you had what you had in Assam in the term of Assam Accord and then NRC and then CAA. Ultimately, what the boils down is that all political parties need to have a consensus on how to tackle it, irrespective of the religious problems and all. Now, one can possibly argue that why have we sheltered Sheikh Hasina? Why? She is a refugee in India, right? So I'm not comparing, but there is please hang on. I'm not comparing. I'm saying that you have done the right thing. Please, I ask this person to stop now. I am saying that you have done the right thing. So Sheikh Hasina remains the friend of India. But look at your narrative since 2018, when the first draft of NRC came in Assam, that all Bangladeshis are Ghuspetiyas, all Bangladeshis are termites, irrespective of their religion. But only after Hemant Biswa Sharma went to the Home Minister saying that the 12 lakhs Hindus are suffering in the detention camp, if all Hindus are termites, then how do you bring CAA?
Okay.
Because CAA is basically for the Hindus.
One second. Let me also bring in Mr. Bhargav, and I'll come back to Pradeep Bhandari and to Manojit Mandal after that. Mr. Bhargav, as a former BSF official, now one of the saddening parts, we've shown this in our ground investigation as well. There are touts, there are brokers, there are these what they call, the victims call dealers, who are paid 10,000 taka, 20,000 taka, and they are brought in the most inhuman conditions. One lady narrated that she was brought on a log of wood and crossed across from Bangladesh into India. But one of the saddening parts, Mr. Bhargav, is that this is also happening with greasing of palms of the local BSF officials who are present there. Now, how does that problem be tackled?
See, this Bangladesh problem is not a recent one, because the things started deteriorating in 1947, when a lot of Hindu Bangladeshis, they had to flee the country, I mean the East Pakistan, come to India, settle down in Assam, Meghalaya and Bengal also. Of course, thereafter up to 71 there was a slight lull period, but still the people were coming into India. After 71, it was the Muslim influx that came to India, and that influx was the major turning point in the Indo-Bangladesh border area. I have seen, I was on Bangladesh border, I was in Bengal. When I was there in 1984, the demographic situation was different. It was 80% Hindu, 20% Muslim. But when I went there in the same area in 1998 commanding a unit, I found that demography had changed. It was now 80% Muslim and 20% Hindu. The reason is, even after everything, when we tried to stop them, the BSF came, even some fencing was there, but still the people, they were coming from Bangladesh, and there is a very planned and a nexus right from Bangladesh to hinterland in India. There are people, there are group, they cross, they bring the people to Bangladesh, I mean India border.
Okay.
Then there is another group, they specialize in crossing the border, they cross the border, and then there is another group which takes them deep inside the country and they settle them there. Now, whatever condition they say, now those who want to come to this side, they are ready to spend the money, they are ready to face any inhuman condition. Sometimes they cross the river with this, what you call that, banana log, which keeps on floating on the border. They sit on that and they come this side holding their small children in their hand. So this is the situation which was happening in Bangladesh.
Okay.
Of course, for some time, for 2-3 years, there was slightly lull in, rather you can say the reduction in the rate of influx into India when the Bangladesh economy was
doing better.
going up. But still the people there are finding it much easier and much better to come to India and settle down here. Reason being, I think everyone knows it. I will not go into the political discourse,
Okay.
but the situation was that whosoever comes to India, there is no problem. He gets an Aadhaar card made, he gets some land allotted to him, he gets some people who are supporting them, and of course, as I said, there is a nexus, and in that nexus there is someone who is always there to support them.
So,
He brings them in,
Pradeep
he settles them there,
Bhandari, you
there
heard
are
what
madrasas.
former IG had to say. You have also heard what your political opponents have to say. BSF at the end of the day is under the central government, is under the Home Ministry.
Well,
why don't you stop the illegal immigration?
Well, Zaka, just to quote the facts on BSF, it is to do with fencing. 2,803 kilometers were fenced as of July 2019, and this has increased as of August 2021 to 3,141 kilometers. So 30% fencing is remaining, and that will also happen. And it's one of the largest borders which we have with Bangladesh. So that is a problem, we understand, but the intent is there to solve it. Now there are 2 points, Zaka, and allow me to say. On the 22nd paragraph, I'm not insinuating, I'm just telling you the fact. The Honorable High Court says, just on the Jharkhand point, that the region, the Santhal Pargana region has drastically decreased from 44% in 1951, like you quoted, to 28%, whereas on the other hand, the Muslim population, the said region has increased manifold by 9 percentage point. However, the percentage of the population of others has changed marginally by 3.3% for the said region in that region. This is why people are saying that it is to do with illegal immigration, which is also altering the demographics. So Muslim point comes by the High Court. Now with Mandal, please tell me, the Honorable Home Minister making the statement that all the Bangladeshis who are coming from Bangladesh to India are illegal immigrants. He's lying. Let me quote what Mamata Banerjee said on 5th of August 2005. This is Mamata Banerjee in the parliament. She in fact resigned because she said that घुसपैठ जो है वो लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है बंगाल के अंदर बांग्लादेश से. This is Mamata Banerjee when she was a member of parliament, not the chief minister. Now let me tell you how grave the situation is. Let me tell you 3 districts. South 24 Parganas, North 24 Parganas, the situation was such that in the 1991, the Muslim population was less than 50%. Right now, the situation is that 14 blocks in South 24 Parganas and 10 blocks in North 24 Parganas have become Muslim majority.
Manojit Mandal,
so all of this is interlinked, Zaka, which is what your investigation is also saying.
Yeah.
First response to the former IG of BSA. If you go by the data of first draft of NRC that came out just 6 years ago, August 2018, the maximum number of illegal immigrants, according to the NRC data, were the Hindus. That is 12 lakhs out of 18 were suffering in the detention camp. So this is the data. You are saying that the infiltrators are mostly Muslims. According to the data released by the Assam government, 2018 data, NRC first draft, they were the Hindus. And to answer to the question of my friend from BJP, I think he's doing a shelf goal that Mr. Amit Shah during 2018 and 2019 poll plan, this was one of their agendas.
Sir, when we were getting NRC, you opposed the NRC. When we were getting NRC, you opposed NRC. You can't say a single word because of your vote bank politics. Tell us how is Murshidabad, South 24, North 24.
One at a time, please. One at a time. Yeah, one at a
Please
time.
tell us where the Home Minister said that all people coming from Bangladesh
One at a time.
You know, a gap of over 50 years, 1951 to 2011, where so many things have happened. Especially the Bangladesh war, which was rightly pointed out by the Honorable IG BSA. During that point in time, there were people from all across Bangladesh. They were coming to India. Everyone knows that.
Mr. Bhargav wants to come in. Mr. Bhargav wants to come in. Yeah. Mr. Bhargav wants to come in. Mr. Bhargav.
Yeah. First of all, as they were discussing that, they said that it is the responsibility of the center government. I think the local security and local law and order depends on the state government. On the border area, I have seen now the entire border area, you can see in Assam, the entire border area was completely dominated by the Muslims. All the MLAs, MPs, they were Muslims, and they facilitated the influx. They facilitated the influx of the Muslims. Right in Murshidabad, Malda, Dhubri, all these areas are now totally almost say 95 to 98% Muslim.
10
Okay.
seconds,
From
yes.
where did they come?
Let me-
No,
Because
let me just,
Plus was
you know, on the
facilitated.
point,
Number one. Just one thing,
Yeah,
one thing
okay,
more.
okay, one thing
Now,
more, yeah.
just one thing I would like.
Give
Now
me
they
10
said
seconds,
ki now
Dr.
Hindus
Mr.
also
Jack.
came. Yes, I said ki Hindus came, but they came in 1947.
Yes.
Thereafter, very few Hindus they came to India compared to Muslims. There was influx of Muslims, 80 to 90% those who
Yes.
came to India were Muslims. Hardly 10% were Hindus.
Give me 10 seconds.
Muslims
10
came
seconds.
to India
Pradeep-
under some,
Pradeep
under
Bhandari
some
and then after
major
that,
plan. I
Professor
can
Mandal.
say very
Okay.
blankly.
Zaka, the data suggests that in the last 10 years since Mamata Banerjee's government is in Bengal, the border districts between Bengal and Bangladesh, 50 percentage plus villages have converted into Muslim majority. They have a plan because of their vote bank politics to convert Bengal into a Muslim majority Pradesh in order
No, no, but
to
where
convert Uttar
are
Pradesh.
you citing this from?
This is an exact data which is there. This is
No, no,
available
from where?
right now.
This
This
is
is available
where?
across. This is census which is there 2020-21,
Laughable.
2011. If you look at border districts
But
of
Mamata
South
Banerjee,
24 Parganas and
Mamata
North
Banerjee
24.
came to power only in 2011.
Yeah, so 2011, post 2011,
So
yes.
no.
Yes.
Can I
There
come
is
in?
no data after 2011.
This is
Census-
what has been reported in the news. This is there in the media. I am quoting media.
No, no.
This is
So
Yes.
point
Yes.
is,
This
point
is
is
widely
the last,
reported in the media.
last
Yeah.
census was 2011.
That
We've
is-
not had a
yes.
census in 2021 because of COVID.
Yes.
But be that as it may,
Allow me.
My point
I'm
is,
just saying that the media has reported that
Okay.
there are districts, there are villages
no.
in Bengal which have converted into Muslim majority.
Okay,
villages.
Monojit
come in?
Mandal. Huh.
No, I think my good friend, he was at one point in time cephalogist, the kind of cephalology that he used to do in Jan Ki Baat or Man Ki Baat. He's doing the same kind of data about.
Arre Baba,
this
come
conversion.
on, that's
But,
a cheap shot.
This is
No,
on a
you can do
lighter-
better
no,
than that.
This is on a lighter note. No, I'm
Okay,
not
okay,
serious.
right,
about
Mr.
it.
Mandal, you
I'm
are
not
so
serious about
desperate.
His cephalology as well. So I lighter
Mr.
note.
Mandal.
So it's
Okay,
a
lighter
very
note.
serious note, Mr. Jaka. No, I think I'll take the point from the Honorable IG when he said that border districts are being always dominated by the Muslims. So what is happening in Bengal, my dear friend? Please check. All the border districts are actually choosing BJP MPs, including their president in Bengal, that is Sukanta Majumdar. And please check Jalpaiguri.
Arre, we are talking about Murshidabad, Malda. We are talking about Murshidabad, Malda. We are talking about border districts, particular Murshidabad, Malda, South 24 Parganas, North 24 Parganas. Do not lie on the debate, Mr. Mandal. Just because you will quote anything and everything, you are not correct. Don't become a fake professor. Quote exact data. Quote exact data.
And they will have
Don't
to
lie.
work in
Has
tandem
Murshidabad
with the
voted a
government
BJP
to
MP?
check.
What are you saying?
It's not just
Has
in
Murshidabad
Assam,
voted a non-Hindu
Tripura,
MP since
in
1952?
Meghalaya,
No.
in Manipur.
How are you getting Manipur? Mr. Mandal, has Murshidabad voted a BJP MP?
Just in Bengal or in Jharkhand.
Don't lie. Why are you misquoting the IG? Has Murshidabad voted a BJP MP?
Murshidabad is one part of that.
So is it not the border district? Has Malda voted a BJP MP? Has Malda voted a BJP MP?
Acquired land.
Has Malda voted a BJP
50
MP?
kilometers deep in the
Has Malda voted a BJP MP?
State government.
No,
What is
has
the
Malda
BSF
voted a
doing?
BJP MP or not?
So
Tell
you
me.
must- this Home Minister
No, I'll
must
expose you on
resign.
show.
I'm
No, you said
demanding
that
the
BJP
decision of
MP.
the
Has
Home
Malda
Minister.
voted BJP
He has
MP?
failed to check LP
Has Malda voted BJP
Home
MP?
Minister has failed to check LP
That was the report is from border district.
Okay.
Mr. Mandal is
What
exposed.
is the BSF doing?
Okay. But Pradeep, you still haven't answered the question.
What?
The BSF is the one that is guarding the borders, not the Bengal police or the
No, I
Jharkhand
agree,
police.
but we're not getting any cooperation
And
from
you
Mamata
have a
Banerjee's
strong-
government.
strong
As Mr. IG
man
said
as
that the
the
local
Minister
police
of
has to
BSF,
cooperate. The
Mr. Amit
situation is
Shah.
much better than before.
What is he doing?
Absolutely,
He
I
must
agree with you. It's
resign
not the
then.
ideal situation, but we need a cooperation from the state government.
And
Mamata
then in
Banerjee is
moral
focused
ground, he
only
must
and only on a
resign,
vote
Mr.
bank.
Amit Shah.
Mr. Mandal, I know you have won Murshidabad because of your vote bank politics. I know you won Malda because of your vote bank politics, but do not make Bengal a Muslim majority Pradesh.
If this is happening in Murshidabad, Mr. Amit Shah should resign.
Why should Mr. Amit Shah
And
resign? It is
moral
happening in
responsibility
Murshidabad. It is your
because
state
BSF
government.
has failed.
You have failed on law and order,
BSF has
which is
failed.
every state government has
Despite
said
the
it.
fact that you
Okay.
had a law to acquire land deep into 50 kilometers of the state territory.
Okay.
And thereafter even you are failing.
Mr. Mandal,
No,
you have
I'll
completely
give
lost on facts today. You lost on
I'll
facts
give the
today.
IG Saab the final word. IG Saab, there are two parts to it. One is the demographic change. The data is there. I put it out there. It's for people to believe. I mean, this is census data. I'm not inventing this data. Second is this insinuation that all of this is actually illegal migration from Bangladesh, or whether this is actually the increase of population of Indian Muslims who have lived there for generations at large. So the insinuation is by saying that everybody who's come there everybody who is the reason for the Muslim population increasing in these districts is not illegal Bangladeshis, but it's the Muslim population itself increasing, the indigenous Indian Muslim population itself increasing. Bhargav Sahab.
Say again, because I could not hear your last.
I said
what
the
you, what you
insinuation
wanted to ask.
made by the JMM spokesperson earlier and by Professor Mandal also is that, you know, the demographic data has increased, yes, but to say that the increase is entirely because of illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, that is the insinuation.
No, I don't find any doubt in this that the data has increased because of the illegal Bangladeshi and even the Rohingya infiltrators, those who came and settled down there. Because some of them, they came to Bengal, they settled down there, they came to Assam, they settled down there. And because of that, the situation has changed. Of course, the demographic change of local Hindu population and Muslim population was also there. But over and above that, some Muslims who came from Bangladesh, they have also contributed their share in changing the demography.
Okay.
Now, one thing, because I was just overhearing some conversation.
Maximum
that
Rohingya.
the state
No, I have to
government
wrap up
has
also,
nothing
but
to
quickly,
do. I think
Haji
it
Sahab,
is the
I have
state
to wrap up,
government. Hello.
Yeah, quickly finish your
Hello.
point. Quickly finish your point, please.
I think it is the state government which is more responsible, because BSF, whenever it apprehends some infiltrators, it has to hand over to the local police. And if the local police, they let them go, what the BSF can do? It is not the central government which is going to take
We'll
charge
leave it
of
at that.
these
But
infiltrators or the
let's be clear.
Bangladeshis.
Let's be clear that this is a problem, and this is a problem that needs to be addressed almost on a war footing. Because if we don't, then not only is it's not just a question of demographics changing; it's a question of fight for resources. At the end of the day, we are a resource-starved country, and it's going to be a fight for resources, and that's the last thing we want as a nation. All right, thank you very much to all our guests, but let's shift focus now to the second segment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said over the weekend that Israel would take whatever action is necessary to diminish the threat posed by Hezbollah. In a tit-for-tat, the deputy leader of the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has warned that the conflict was entering a new stage. This after a weekend full of continuous rocket and missile barrages from both sides. These threats have added to international alarm that intensifying violence between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon has put the region on the brink of a catastrophe. On Crux Decode, will there now be an all-out war between Israel and Lebanon? When they last fought back in 2006, Israel withdrew after what was seen as a half-finished job against Hezbollah. Will Israel be able to finish the job this time? And more importantly, is Hezbollah much more of a fighting force today than it was 20 years ago, and will it be able to thwart Israel's military designs? Hezbollah launched more than 100 rockets, missiles and drones at Israeli territory over the weekend. This was a large-scale response to Israeli aggression last week. Just this past few days have seen a wave of deadly attacks against Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon, and this included exploding pagers and walkie-talkies along with airstrikes against senior commanders. In a brief statement put out by his office, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said, if Hezbollah did not understand the message, then I promise you that it will be forced to understand the message. The crux of the new aggression, according to him, was Israel being determined to return those citizens who were displaced by the cross-border violence because of Hezbollah back to their homes in northern Israel. The Israeli military's chief of staff, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, was more specific. He said Israel's strikes will intensify in a statement that condemned Hezbollah's overnight raids. Hezbollah has said its assault against Israel, which set off air raid sirens in dozens of towns in the north, had targeted Israeli military bases. The biggest one was at a location near Haifa, which is one of the biggest ports in Israel, right on the coast. The Israeli military said most of the missiles were intercepted by its air defense systems, but a town just north of Haifa suffered a direct hit, and officials tightened restrictions in public areas, public gatherings, like in the Golan Heights and also in Galilee. The barrages were seemingly the most distant rocket strikes into Israeli territory since Hezbollah started firing at Israel a little under a year ago. Hezbollah started attacking Israel after Hamas launched the deadly October 7th terror strike. These retaliatory strikes also seem to be carefully calibrated. It was a show of force near one of Israel's biggest cities, Haifa, but it was also one that avoided the heart of the country, which could have drawn a much harsher response from Israel. But prior to that, Israel had launched multiple airstrikes across southern Lebanon and in particular in the capital Beirut. Hezbollah confirmed the death of a top commander, Ibrahim Akil, who was wanted by the United States for his role in two bombing attacks that happened way back in 1983. In those two attacks, more than 300 people died. The attacks happened at the US Embassy in Beirut and also the US Marine Corps barracks. Hezbollah's deputy leader, Naim Qasim, has said that what happened Saturday night is just the beginning. He was referring to the barrage of rockets, missiles and drones that Hezbollah launched into Israel. He warned that conflict with Israel had entered a new stage. Hezbollah will fight Israel from where they expect and from where they do not expect. The Israeli strike on Friday, which the military said had killed several senior Hezbollah commanders along with a top leader, Commander Akil, came at the end of what had already been a chaotic week in Lebanon. Wireless devices exploded across the country on Tuesday and Wednesday, killing dozens of people and maiming thousands of others. Many of them happened to be Hezbollah cadre or their overground workers. Even before Hezbollah launched more than 100 rockets, cruise missiles and drones towards northern Israel on Sunday, people who lived in that area were afraid that they were being targeted. Most of the projectiles launched overnight were intercepted by Israel's air defenses, but at least one of them struck a residential neighborhood in the town of Kiryat Bialik early Sunday morning. It set cars on fire, it badly damaged about half a dozen houses, and nearby window panes were shattered. Judging by the comments of senior Israeli officials, the aims and goals of this war, which started off as one that would avenge the Hamas attacks, now seem to have shifted. From eradicating Hamas in the Gaza Strip to stopping Hezbollah's attacks across the northern border and allowing 60,000 displaced Israelis to return, that seems to be the new focus right now. And that is why there is criticism against Netanyahu's government, including from the United States, that this is a classic case of shifting of the goalposts. But Israel is pressing on unflinched. On Friday evening, Yoav Gallant, Israel's defense minister, vowed that the recent military actions, which are all part of a new phase of the war that he announced on Wednesday, would continue until those displaced Israelis can go back home. Israeli leaders have been signaling this shift in philosophy for months now. In late June, Netanyahu and Israel's president Isaac Herzog toured the northern border of Israel with Lebanon. They also met with military commanders who were stationed there. At around the same time, Yoav Gallant concluded a trip to Washington where he reportedly told Biden administration officials that Israel was determined to establish security in the north and in the south, and in order to do that, it was willing to change the reality on the ground. The last time Israel went into southern Lebanon was in 2006. In July of that year, Israel engaged in a month-long conflict with Hezbollah, triggered by a cross-border raid which had resulted in the abduction of 2 Israeli soldiers. Israel launched extensive airstrikes and also a ground invasion with the aim of weakening Hezbollah's military capabilities. That war ended with a UN-brokered ceasefire on the 14th of August 2006. While Israel achieved some of its military objectives, Hezbollah claimed victory for its resilience. It is at the end of that war that Hezbollah emerged as a significant regional force despite suffering heavy casualties. The question now is, has Hezbollah become a bigger and perhaps more resilient fighting force capable of thwarting Israel's military designs? From the barrage of over 100 rockets and drones that were fired over the weekend, it appears to be the case that Hezbollah is much stronger today than it was during the 2006 war. In the months since the start of this current war between Hamas and Israel, the daily exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah has also intensified. The United States has continuously stressed that a wider war that could draw in Iran threatens to further destabilize the region. Right now, though, its allies in Tel Aviv are paying scant attention to the Biden administration. So the Lebanese Health Ministry says more than 500 Lebanese citizens have died in what has been multiple day airstrikes by Israel. Israel, of course, says that the reason they were forced to do this, attack Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, which has led to a large number of displacement of people as well, is primarily because they want to resettle Israeli civilians, about 60,000 of them who had to flee from northern Israel. They want to settle them back. Let's try and make sense of what is going on, because this is now pretty much a two-front war with Hamas in the south and with Hezbollah in the north. Can Israel handle a two-front war? And what really is the end game here? Michael Koplow is the Chief Policy Officer at the Israel Policy Forum. Thank you very much, Mr. Koplow, for speaking with us. First things first, if you could explain to our viewers why Israel suddenly, just in the last few days, let's say about a week to 10 days, has gone full throttle against Hezbollah, because this was not one of the stated aims of this war when it began on the 7th of October after the Hamas attack. Much of Israel's operations were directed at Hamas in Gaza, in the south. But in the last week or 10 days, they've gone full throttle against Hezbollah. Israel's critics argue that this is shifting of the goalposts. How does Israel justify this new goal, and what is the objective here?
I think there are a number of reasons why Israel has upped the ante with Hezbollah over the last 10 days. The first is that Hezbollah has been firing on northern Israel continuously since October 8th in solidarity with Hamas following the October 7th attacks. And as you correctly noted, there are about 65,000 Israelis who have been displaced from northern Israel, and it's been an ongoing source of tension and difficulty for the Israeli government that it has not been able to do anything to stop the Hezbollah rocket fire and return those citizens. Second, Israel has in many ways been winding down the military campaign in Gaza. We had the top Israeli commander in the south announce a couple of weeks ago that Israel had defeated the Rafah brigade, meaning that at this point, major military operations have wound down in the south, even if Israel hasn't formally declared it as such, and that has freed up resources for the north. And lastly, there has been reporting that the attack that started with exploding pagers and walkie-talkies that has been attributed to Israel was done because that operation had been exposed. And so it may be a simple question of Israel having a tan forced, given the fact that these capabilities, they needed to then use them or lose them in military parlance. So I think that for all these reasons, we're now seeing Israel turn more attention to the north than we've seen in the past 11 months.
But Hezbollah is a completely different entity. It's a completely different beast compared to Hamas. Will Israel, and how far will Israel go to try and shut Hezbollah down? The last time Israel went into Lebanon, in southern Lebanon in 2006, they were accused of not finishing the job. And Hezbollah in the last 20 years or so, or less than 20 years, has become much more of a fighting force, much more of a terrorist organization. So if they couldn't do it 20 years back, why should we believe they can do it now?
Hezbollah is indeed a far more formidable force than Hamas is in every single way, whether we look at their capabilities or their size or their experience, given the decade that Hezbollah fighters have had fighting in the Syrian civil war. In this instance, one of the advantages that Israel has is that it has been focused on the threat from Hezbollah now really since the end of the 2006 war. And I think that we're seeing that in terms of Israeli intelligence capabilities, whether it be the bank of targets that Israel has been using over the past week in airstrikes, or whether it has been what seems to be complete penetration of Hezbollah communications and Hezbollah leadership. Israel's been focusing on this threat. And so I think in some ways, it's more prepared for the fight against Hezbollah than it was for the fight against Hamas. I think that we're also seeing that Israel has something specific it wants in this case, which was not necessarily the case in 2006. In 2006, the IDF talked more about dismantling Hezbollah, and that, of course, proved to be impossible. In this case, Israel isn't talking about dismantling or overthrowing Hezbollah and removing it from Lebanon. What it's talking about is really moving Hezbollah back from its northern border to prevent an October 7th type attack from Hezbollah, and to bring Hezbollah back in compliance with UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which requires Hezbollah to be north of the Litani River, as opposed to now where they are right up against the Israeli border. Now, translating this military campaign into that diplomatic objective so that Israelis can return to their homes in the north, I think is going to prove a bit more difficult than the Israeli government thinks, and I doubt that it can be accomplished solely through a military campaign. But the Israeli government is proceeding along the theory that this military campaign will bring Hezbollah to the negotiating table. And in the words of Israeli officials, they are escalating in order to de-escalate.
But again, the pitfalls of this escalating to de-escalate, I mean, you can escalate against a conventional army, against a conventional nation state in the hope that it acts as some kind of a deterrent. Whereas in Hezbollah's case, I mean, they exist for, as they say in their own charter, the destruction of Israel. The idea that you can push back a terrorist organization across whatever boundary or line or geographical structure, and they don't have the capability to hit you from behind those lines, again, it's incorrect, because Hezbollah, from whatever we've heard, has ability to fire even long-range missiles. So I'm just trying to understand again the end game here as far as Israel is concerned.
I think that there are a few factors that make Hezbollah distinctive in Israel's eyes from different terrorist groups such as Hamas. One of them is that, unlike Hamas, Hezbollah is a complete direct Iranian proxy, and it's Iran's most important proxy. And the reason that it is Iran's most important proxy is because Hezbollah in many ways operates as a second strike capability, deterring Israel from striking on Iran directly or striking Iranian nuclear sites directly. And that means that Iran is going to be very reluctant to see Hezbollah entirely destroyed. And that in some ways may act as a brake on Hezbollah, because if it seems as if Israel is about to really eliminate its capabilities to serve the purpose that it serves for Iran, it may be that Iran itself looks for ways to try and de-escalate and to end the fighting in the north. I think that you correctly point out Hezbollah's capabilities, which is also one of the reasons that so far we've seen Israel limit its activities to an aerial campaign, which is a place where Israel has unparalleled superiority in relation to Hezbollah. If there is an Israeli ground invasion, then I think we'll see a scenario where Israel is far more likely to get bogged down and suffer casualties, given that it will be operating on Hezbollah's terrain, given the size of Hezbollah's own ground forces, given the way in which Hezbollah is embedded in southern Lebanon. And so I think that we're going to see Israel try and avoid, or at least forestall, a ground campaign as long as possible. And I should note that earlier today, Hezbollah shot a missile at Tel Aviv, which is the first time that's happened in the conflict. Also the first time that Hezbollah has shot a ballistic missile at Israel at all. So we are seeing the dangers of an escalatory cycle already from the Israeli side. And from the Israeli perspective, they view themselves as taking a calculated risk, but certainly they risk getting embroiled in a larger war without a great way of translating the military campaign to their actual strategic objectives.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Mr. Koplow, for joining us and putting that into perspective for our viewers. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
What is the use if the power which has to take up this itself wants to curb it? That's the dirty politics, right?
Former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy is going to be visiting Tirupati, is going to be visiting the temple. The BJP and the TDP have now upped their ante against him. They say that before he enters the temple, before he takes those steps that go up to the hill temple, he should sign on the dotted line as far as a declaration of his faith is concerned. That is something that he hasn't done in the past because rules were bent for him when he was the Chief Minister, is the allegation that the ruling government there is making. Meanwhile, we're seeing several other leaders, including that of the BJP, making a beeline to this particular temple. Madhvi Lata was one such leader who's en route there. So there is high drama that is expected once Jagan Mohan Reddy reaches Tirupati tomorrow.
See, Jagan Mohan Reddy had committed an unforgivable sin. So there will be no relief for him. Lord Balaji, Swami Venkateshwara will not forgive him Even if Jagan Reddy climbs up the 7 hills on his knees, even then there will be no forgiveness from the Lord. All these years you have gone into the temple without signing the declaration. We all know that you are a believer in Christianity, which we don't have any problem with. We respect all religions. If they intend to have a darshan of Lord Balaji, then they have to sign a declaration stating that they have faith in him.
पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री जगन मोहन रेड्डी 28 तारीख को तिरुपति मंदिर में पहुंचने वाले हैं, जहां पे उन्होंने एक क्षमा अनुष्ठान का आयोजन कर रहे हैं। मैं बता दूं कि इन्होंने जो अपराध किया, लड्डुओं के अंदर सुअर का चर्बी, फिश ऑयल मिला के जो अपराध किया, हिंदू भावनाओं को जो ठेस पहुंचाई, वो जो दंड है वो क्षमा योग्य नहीं है। वो कितना भी अनुष्ठान कर लें, वो क्षमा योग्य नहीं है।
As far as this controversy is concerned, all these political parties, whether it is TDP or YSR Congress, their major source of income is corruption. They're not collecting meager amount from people and not getting money that way. The main source of income is corruption. Whether it is in the name of God, whether it is in the name of road, whatever it is the corruption is the main source. So that makes no difference between YSR Congress party or TDP.
Jagan Mohan Reddy is planning to make this trip to the revered Tirumala temple, and as my colleague Swastika was mentioning, he is doing that to seek atonement. He's seeking...
CNN-News18 Town Hall returns to Mumbai, the thriving hub that embodies India's bold ambitions. As the nation's top voices converge for powerful discussions and candid conversations, the spotlight turns to the NDA, fresh off a historic third-term win, and their resurgent challengers who now face a crucial test in Maharashtra. Experience India's most influential forum, where the national agenda is shaped. CNN-News18 Town Hall, Mumbai. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. onwards.
Why is it that the BJP government and the TDP is asking for him to sign a formal declaration before he enters the temple premises?
Because in 1990, as per GO Order 311, it is very, very clear that anybody who belongs to other faith or dharma or religion is supposed to give an undertaking.
Okay.
That in Lord Venkateshwara, and they have faith, and only then they're supposed to enter, which has been very respectfully accepted by our late President Abdul Kalam. Okay. After that, who are the two great human beings who violated is Jagan's father, Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, and the great Italian lady Sonia Gandhi. Okay. Now I come to the next point. These people have come in power in 2019 May. Typically, within a very short period, Jagan's uncle yani Chachi ki husband, Chachaji, this person has been deployed as chairman TTD.
Right.
The first thing he has done is removed the GO. Words they not have to give an undertaking. Now, who the hell he is? How can he just, as it is, he doesn't belong to our faith.
Right.
Can he be Hindu? He still has been given a post. In fact, he is supposed to sign it and then enter into his position, which he did not do. What is the interest? See, basically, why do you make chairman of any under endowment and Hindu institution, such as Sanatan institution, that they work towards the development of the temple? What is the conspiracy? I'm questioning that he reversed the undertaking. That's the first point I want to question.
Right.
Now, second point. Mr. Jagan says, Chandrababu Naidu ji has got the report of the ghee that has been returned 18 trucks. Fair enough. Then where is the report of those 18 trucks ghee that has been sent back? They reached Tirumala and they've been sent back.
Right.
Is there a testing center in Tirumala? If there is a testing center in Tirumala, how quickly have you have come up to a decision that it is adulterated and you have sent back? Because now that it is a proof that they have been sent back, show us that test report. First point. After that, the trucks which have come with a new ghee, did you again test back? Because you're already burnt with the news that it is adulterated ghee. Then there is a new test report to tell that
Okay,
you've got a
fair
good
enough,
ghee.
Madhvi ji. I wanted to ask you, with these revelations of the shocking use of inferior and substandard ingredients into making something that is so sacred and respected, and the alleged use of adulterated ghee in the preparation of that sacred laddu is not just a disrespect to Hindu sentiments, Madhvi ji. I think personally to me it's a disrespect to someone's faith, it's a breach of trust. But while the BJP is going all guns blazing and targeting the former chief minister, what about the role of the TTD? I mean, shouldn't they be held accountable as well? Why no questions are being asked from the board? Doesn't the buck stop at them? Aren't they responsible of ensuring that the most pure, authentic prasad is served to devotees?
Okay, I will ask you one simple thing. The chief minister is the head of the state. Unfortunately, we Hindus do not have a different autonomous board. We all fall under endowments. And under TTD, the chairman is a Christian. EO is a Christian. All prime members are Christian. To keep up the Hindu sentiment. And apart from that, if you know, please, you are supposed to now let everybody know about this. TTD, very prime people have done an investigation and figured out there were 44 non-Hindu believers who belong to another religion. What is the use if the
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. World leaders are in New York for the